The police commissioner has conceded that violent crime is actually very stubborn, and it's difficult for the police to actually tackle it, as it has actually been increasing year on year. There is murder and attempted murder, and also assault GBH. Well, I am joined now by a strategic management expert, Dr. Kaiser Makole, who's actually going to elaborate on this issue as to whether South Africans are free under circumstances where they don't feel safe in their neighborhoods and in their homes. Thank you so much for the time, Dr. Kaiser. Can you just tell us, according to the Human Science Research Council, confidence in the police is at its lowest since 1994, and as a result, people don't feel safe in their homes and neighborhoods. In this context, would you say that South Africans are free?
Thank you, Mr. Setimo, for this opportunity to talk to me about the challenges of policing in our country. Mr. Setimo, if I reflect correctly, I think we are facing a serious crisis in South Africa. For example, maybe one of the challenges that as a country we need to focus about, we need to ask ourselves whether our policing services is professional enough to protect South Africans. But currently, from my own perspective and personal reflection, I feel that South Africans are not safe. That is why there are some rising community movements that they feel that they have to take power in their hands. But I believe that the South African policing should try to do much better to gain back the confidence that it has lost. Because you see, what is critically important is that, you see, there is a social compact between the community and the society. The communities, citizens of a country, they pay tax to the country in favor of expecting the country the government to protect them. That is why in normal countries, citizens don't have private securities. But in South Africa, we're in a situation where we have outsourced securities to private companies, which means that people are not happy about the quality of policing that we have. So the question is, can we justify the taxes that we are paying? But there are some attributes of a professional policing service that we need to talk about, and we'll reflect more on them.
Yes. And the 2020 budget cuts of the police budget, would you attribute that also to, police being inadequate and having lack of resources as well to tackle the crime, that's violent crime that is?
Mr. Setimo, I can say, you see, South Africa is not a poor country. We also need to start to question, why are these budget cuts happening? Because South Africa is a country that is endowed with huge resources. But there are cuts and all this thing because we are suffering from the consequences of state capture, the consequences of corruption, where we cannot even capacitate our police to do what they're supposed to do. But from my own personal perspective, I think the first thing we need to say, how do we professionalize our policing services? How do we build the police that is capable to make South Africans to feel safe? Before we get money, we need a human resource development in the policing services first. We need to have police where they will be more proactive when they are dealing with crime. I like reacting to crime where people feel that the police are not doing enough.
Yes. And South Africa, for time immemorial, has been labeled as a developing country. What is hampering us from being a developed country? Because for the past 23 years or so, ever since I've been a young boy, I've known South Africa to be a developmental country. So what's hampering us from being a developed country, that is?
It seems as if you are reading my mind, because 2 days ago, I was at UNISA meeting some students about some of the project. And one student, he gave me a serious food for thought where he said that while they were still at school, they were told that South Africa is a developing country. When is South Africa going to be a developed country? But now let us look, what are the attributes, the characteristics of a developed country? For a country to be a developed country, it means we must build our human capital. It means we need a good and effective and efficient public education system. We need a good public health system, and we also need to improve socio-economic conditions in our country. But all these variables, they are not there in South Africa. Poor education system, poor health system, and then poor socio-economic conditions. Currently, we have how much? More than 7.2 million unemployed youth, which for me is a disaster that is waiting to happen. That is why in one of my research articles that I've just submitted, I'm proposing that we need even basic income grant so that we can use it as a mitigating factor for unemployment, especially youth unemployment.